Chat, we good? Dang, chat, I was doing the whole intro. Good catch. I don't know why I did that. There was an update to the software, and then I guess it defaulted to another. One. Is that a good one? Mike, good? Good catch, though. We good? What's up, the Gale? I appreciate the sub. Let's start. Life of Sen. Steve in the chat. RC Player. Jay Zonday. Can only hear music. Yeah, we good. All right, appreciate that. Also, I don't know why the chat's not working, so we're just going to switch over to the screen share. What up, Chuck? Yeah, imagine I just did like a whole stream and didn't pay attention to chat and just boom. Yeah, I don't know what it was. The mic input for Streamlabs wasn't defaulted to the mic that I'm using. I guess it does that. Bilal, what's up, Bilal? What up, EB? All right, I hope I didn't miss nobody. How you guys doing? I hope you're doing all right this Saturday. Ready for some NFL tomorrow. You guys grinding all the different sports tonight. We're going to be focused on NBA and the 6-gamer on DK, FanDuel, Yahoo. We'll take a look at some PrizePicks, maybe some underdog. Hopefully come away with some winners. Lots of news to watch. So let's go ahead and get caught up on what we do need to watch. I'm just going to refresh the underdog Twitter account. What's up, the boy from Cali? Hope you're doing all right. It's a great day to have a great day. Even though it's 3 p.m. Taj Gibson listed out. Kyle Kuzma, questionable. That game's not on this slate. LaMelo Ball, questionable. Looks like he might give it a go. Make his season debut. Jaylen Brown, questionable. Porzingis, probable. Hero, questionable. Jeremy Grant, probable. Nurkic, questionable. Van Vliet, questionable. Christian Wood. So some of the more notable stuff that will impact this slate. Van Vliet's a big one. It's night 2 of a back-to-back. And when I looked, the Raptors were 1-point road dogs here. So kind of leaves the door open for interpretation there. And the Celtics rolled out a bunch of people and then left Jalen questionable. So I kind of lean more to in than out, but we will keep tabs on everything. Anything else that pop up that I missed in chat? Bagley's going to make his debut. Cade Cunningham is out. Brogdon got rolled out with Horford. I think that's all the big ones, but we'll go game by game as we always do. Okongwu got ruled out and kind of see what it means and see if we can't get an update. So let me make sure I got the news page up. And also need to get the chat up on. This will work. Just picked up Simmons off waivers. Almost sat Jeremy Grant for him. Couldn't do it. Maybe tomorrow. Simmons? Ben Simmons? Or Anthony Simons? I'm assuming Ben Simmons. What up, Derek Wilson? Hope you're doing all right. Ivy and Bay was both awful last night. Don't get me started. Last night there was a couple. So my night was pretty much tanked when the Grayson Allen saga happened. I don't know if you guys had any of that. I think I was sitting on about 40%. Just stocking stuff for value guard forward for me over on FanDuel, and he didn't play. And he wasn't on the report. He just didn't play, and apparently he was sick. So I hope he gets better. But that was an unfortunate scenario for me. So last night sucked, but yeah, Jaden Ivey was in a good spot last night after Cade Cunningham got ruled out. They didn't go great. Some of the chalk cards got there, the two that I leaned on the most, but I was just so far behind the 8 ball with the Grayson Allen stuff. What can you do? Jalen hurt his leg last night. It was on the bike to try and keep it loose, so I'm not surprised he's a Q tag. Yeah, we'll see how that goes. Forgot to unmute his mic after he saved. I didn't save today. Anyway, where are we at? 3:11. It is. I just got a freeze alert outside. Any of you guys from Texas enjoying this weather change? I haven't. I actually have no air on. Like I turned the heat. I don't have the heat on. I turned the AC off. Last night I turned the heat on, and my smoke detector started going off. That was fun. did FanDuel refund for Grayson? Not for DFS, or at least if they did, I didn't. I would understand if they didn't, though. That was a nobody's fault situation. What are you gonna do? It'd be like that. Sometimes they do. Whenever they do it, it's a positive. Oh, wrong notes. What do we got here? All right, open up a blank spreadsheet. Let's dive into it. Game numero uno. Boston Celtics at the Detroit Pistons. Project starting five for the Celtics. Marcus Smart, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, Grant Williams, Blake Griffin? Question mark? Tilted head? Huh? Up against the Pistons of Detroit. Corey Joseph, Jay Ivey, Sadiq Bey, Bojan Bogdanovic, Isaiah Stewart. We got a 225.5 total. A 9-point spread in favor of the visiting Celtics. Celtics have already rolled out Malcolm Brogdon, Al Horford, and then, of course, we knew Gallo and Robert Williams were out as well. And then Jaylen Brown, as we mentioned, questionable. So, if Jaylen Brown were to be out, you guys already know what time it is. It's Jason Tatum time. 10.3K on FanDuel, 10.1K on DraftKings. Already coming in with a very strong projection. Top 3 in my full slate projections. And, of course, over 1,000 cheaper than the other 2 guys above him. So, argument could be made that, higher values there. But without Jaylen Brown, we would imagine just an astronomical usage rate. Go pull up the NBA Wowie from Add More Funds and kind of paint this scenario. I think what's the more, let's say, the more, I don't want to say more interesting, but what are we going to do with this front court? Grant Williams, Blake Griffin, Luke Cornett, Noah Vonleh, all options to see some minutes here. Could see a lineup that stretches out maybe Grant Williams and Jason Tatum in the front court. If they go a little bit lighter on minutes for Vonleh and Griffin. I'm not going to be excited to play any of the value guys in the front court, but if we get enough minutes in the projection for a Blake, for a Vonleh, for a Cornett, their prices are so low, especially bare bones min on DK, where they're going to pop a decent enough value on a small slate that maybe we have to consider them. But I would really like to see the Celtics starting lineup before making any drastic decisions, and we should have it with enough time, with this being the first game at lock. So I'm gonna pause on that. I basically gave them all the same minutes. I think I got Vonleh getting the edge. Nobody's popping a projection that I feel like I'm going to have to get to, but Grant Williams is somebody that we'll have to get to. And then this 9-point spread, if Brown doesn't play, I can see this game being a little bit more competitive, although the Pistons without Cade Cunningham certainly feel like they're less trustworthy. And then we got a little bit of information last night on what an Alec Burks with no Cunningham team would look like, if that makes sense. Corey Joseph drew the start, immediately got 2 fouls. When he did that, Killian Hayes clocked in, covered the first quarter shift, and then played ultimately 34 minutes of basketball as Alec Burks got 25 minutes. And Burks was probably one of the most frustrating people for me to project yesterday, because I didn't quite know where he would be with coming off that foot injury. He, I believe, still has a Q tag on him today. That could just be back-to-back rest maintenance type stuff. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. If he can't go with Corey Joseph implied as the starter and Killian Hayes as the backup, if Burks can't go, then I would probably have to look at Killian Hayes a little bit deeper, and might get into him. And then we have to discuss whether or not we want to forgive Jay Ivey, who actually got benched to close yesterday's game, logged just 25 minutes total. Not a great matchup for him defensively. Marcus Smart on the other side. However, usage trumps all, right? An opportunity here to bounce back. Lots to think about. Kojo's never going to be an exciting click ever, but I think if we lose Burks here, you could see the projection for Kojo. Right now I'm coming at 15, 16. I think I'm way too light on the minutes. I think the minutes will have to break 20. But I think Killian Hayes is probably the most intriguing option for me in the guard spot. So that's probably what I walk away with there. The Celtics front court likely gets a little bit easier to attack without Horford, and they've been without Robert Williams. So If you wanted to talk yourself into some floor games or median outcome games from like Bojan, Isaiah Stewart, I wouldn't push back. I do think looking at the grand scope of this slate and the totals and the paces, right? Philly's second slowest pace, Miami's on the slate, Charlotte's in a weird situation where LaMelo could play just enough minutes to like take away from everyone else. A slow-paced Mavs team, a 10-point spread in the Pelicans. Ultimately, what I'm getting at is I can see this slate rewarding median or floor games a little bit more, meaning not everyone in your lineup has to go Super Saiyan, right? So because of that approach for me, I'm more likely to involve guys like Isaiah Stewart, Bogdanovich, Sadiq Bey in my lineups today. So I'm going to get to this game more than I would typically expect to. And then if we do lose Jaylen Brown, I think Jason Tatum is going to likely be the highest on stud on the slate, but also I can't push back. It's just way too good of a spot for a guy already averaging over 31 real points per game. So good spot for him. Would probably also get into some Marcus Smart, something that the Pistons right now are allowing if you are a believer or truther in DVP, is they are a Honeywell of fantasy points to opposing point guards. So look at the league team DVP chart in the RunDFS.com NBA VIP spreadsheet. Detroit allowing the most fantasy points per game to opposing point guards in all of basketball. And how are they doing it? A little bit of everything. Yeah, you could make the case that that's Cade Cunningham, and tonight it's not. But last night we saw them continue that trend. Team basketball and schemes, it is what it is. If you look at the blocks per game allowed, 7.5, and then 6.9 steals per game, I'm okay with that as well. That's defensive peripherals that could feed into what we know can be a strength of Marcus Smart. So I might be a little bit more inclined to lean on Marcus Smart here, especially if Jaylen Brown is out, because we know there's no Malcolm Brogdon. Another name that might be interesting with Malcolm Brogdon down, depending on the starting lineup, is maybe Derek White with the twos is more impactful, right? Brogdon does so much as a point guard for the second unit. Derek White probably has to replace him in that role, and especially if we don't have Jaylen Brown. 24 minutes against Denver in the last outing, 20 fantasy points, the assists, the points, 9 shot attempts are there. Expect all that to potentially go up, most importantly, the minutes. So Derek White might be somebody that I'm going to put in my risky value tiers. And then Sam Hauser is projecting well enough that he might make the back end of my risky value pool, but I'll really be waiting on that starting lineup to make some final decisions. Jay Nivey, what are you guys thinking? 5,700. We wanted to go back to the well. Less than a point per minute last night is what it is. Rookies are going to have off and on games. I think I'm willing to go back to the well. Added implied usage increase at a 30 fantasy points per game clip on the season, and expecting deeper minutes, especially if we lose Alec Burks. So a lot more than expected of interest for this game. Let me get caught up on you guys and see what you're thinking. KJ says nope, but it's below freezing in Kansas City. Wind is cold. Finally had to turn the heat on this week too. Do you guys have to deal with the heat? I don't know. I feel like my whole life, the first time you turn on the heat, it stinks real bad. And then, like I said, I've been dealing with smoke alarms. And I remember last year that happened to me as well. I don't know. It's annoying. Brunson was a good value on Chalk Market yesterday. We out here playing Chalk Market. Let's go. I haven't played on there in a while. Killian Hayes for Detroit. Yeah, Sharp Rock. He's going to be in the pool for me as well. What up, Jim Parrish? How are you, man? I hope you're doing all right. Killian Hayes played 34 off the bench last night. Vonleh did not play last night. All Cornet with the second unit. That's a good observation, Steve. Let's go pull up Boston. Last night was a weird game for Boston, too. But, yeah, Blake Griffin and Vonleh logged 2 minutes of pure garbage time. Like, you have to assume one of those two guys get in there. But if we are going with a hierarchy, that could suggest that Luke Cornett is higher. But I don't know. They could have also already had this planned out for a Blake to have some rest on night one and then kind of swap out. I'm not excited either which way. No matter which way it ends up. It's an annoying spot, but it will project well whoever is in that starting lineup to throw 20, 25 minutes on, right? What up, AOD? I don't care what the spread is. I appreciate that. What up, Arizona? I think I get way more Stewart now. He's going to have a good day against the Celtics. Yeah, but keep an eye on Marvin Bagley. He's probable now, right? Yeah, remember, Bagley hasn't played yet this season. So that could have a ripple effect in this front court, especially for a guy like Isaiah Stewart. So just maybe don't get too married to Isaiah Stewart for a ceiling game. I'm still projecting him well enough that I want to get there. But Bagley, we've seen him be a high usage guy, heavily involved and stuffs the stat sheet. So if he logs a quality 15, 20 minutes, that might be just enough to ruin everything. Just a thought. What up, Adam? Hope you're doing all right. What up, C-Dot? Tatum has no PrizePicks props right now, so nothing jump on. News jumps quick. Yeah, I would imagine that they stay similar to his season average of like 30. Right? It's never fun to bet over 32 real points anyway. But just for research sake, so anybody taking notes, if you want the official number, Tatum on, Brown off this season, or actually since the beginning of last season, without moving anything, no Horford, none of that other stuff. His usage rate is at 31.2%, $1.25 fantasy points per minute. So you remove the Horford, the Robert Williams, Tatum's just in a massive spot. He's in a great spot no matter what. But yeah, without Jaylen Brown, it's a no-brainer, right? What up, Aaron? A. Holland? If Boston blows Detroit out of the water, what do you think about Peyton Pritchard? Is that too cute? I don't think it's too cute. Because of, you mentioned the spread, but also with Malcolm Brogdon being down, and if Jaylen Brown it goes down as well, I think Pritchard would have to be implied for closer to 20 plus minutes. And we know fast PP can be a bucket, so take advantage of that weak guard defense that Pistons have been offering this season. But yeah, I would think I wouldn't be that married to the play from this far out, looking at the projected starting lineup. But if the starting lineup comes out for the Celtics, and if they stretch out Tatum, like say if they stretch out Tatum to the 4, Grant Williams to the 5, something like that, that would open up the wing and guard rotation a little bit more for me. And knowing that Brogdon's down, and that if Jaylen Brown played, maybe he's not at 100%, I still think we can get to a decent enough Pritchard minute projection. It would only help if the game blew out, and it's liable without Cade Cunningham, right? I'm going right back to Ivy, ride or die. I'm with that C-Dot. Goldfish memory, baby. It was 70 today in MA. That's Massachusetts, right? Or Maine. That's Massachusetts, right? I have a friend in Maine. Just seen that Bagley. So what's that mean for Livers, Bagley, and Stewart is going to be the play gun? Well, I can't imagine. So I assume if with Bagley playing, I highly doubt that he gets right into the starting lineup or something like that. Probably baby step his way into some minutes. We've seen that be a carousel of names last season. I would assume they stick with what they're doing right now. But if as the season progresses, Bagley going from 15, 18, 20 minutes, something like that. I don't know that they plan on using him as the starter. They could. But I would say that I expect him to be the most talented in their front court and as an impact player. So I would probably get him jumping Livers before long. And then we'll see what they do from there. But it seems like they like Bojan well enough that he's going to be involved, and I don't see them moving Sadiq Bey. So I would imagine that this is the starting lineup, and then maybe Bagley and Burks as a second unit. It's a nice little explosive combo for now. Just see here. What up, Mundos? Hope you're doing all right. Let's talk about the Raptors and the Pacers. So this is the game of the night for me. Luckily, it's part of the first games at lock. So knock on wood, we'll have the information that we're looking for, because the Raptors look very, very stackable Project starting five for the Raptors: Fred VanVleet, Gary Trent Jr., OG Anunoby, Scotty Barnes, Christian Coloco. Taking on Tyrese Halliburton, Andrew Nembhard, Buddy Hield, Jalen Smith, and Miles Turner. Notable absences here: Precious Achiuwa ruled out, Kem Birch ruled out, Pascal Siakam still out, Chris Duarte on the Pacers side out, Daniel Tice is out, and Fred VanVleet questionable, and it is night 2 of a back-to-back for the Raptors, and here on the road they're 1.5 point underdogs. So I've got some early action out there in props, and I've just kind of been going on the hunch that maybe Fred VanVleet doesn't play. But even if he did, a lot of the props that I have action on are still live because of the Pacers. The Pacers are one of the process matchups on any slate, right? Find Pacers, win money, right? Let me see something real quick. Team stat feed. I have to fix Phoenix real quick. Give me a second, guys. On some stat providers, Phoenix comes in as PHO, and then on others, it's PHX. And then for the way that this tab is coded, I need PHO. So there we go. The Indiana Pacers have a top 5 pace in all of basketball, and they parlay that with a bottom 5 defensive rating. So it's an unbelievably good matchup for opposing teams, especially opposing teams that like to run a starting unit 35, 36, 37, 38 minutes. So Raptors are in for a treat, and we are in for a little lazier approach to DFS tonight if VanVleet sits, because there's not a Raptor you could point at that I wouldn't want to play aggressively. Scotty Barnes, OG Anunoby would be the guys that I'm most attached to because of their floor, their peripherals. But Gary Trent out here second in points per game on the team right now, and has offered a couple of really strong fantasy games as well, and at under 6K on both FanDuel and DraftKings in a pace-up spot. I would be right there on him as well. So I think the Raptors are the most stackable team on the slate tonight, and that's if VanVleet did play 8,200 on DraftKings, still way too cheap as well. So loading up on the Raptors, they will be core plays for me all the way around. Thad Young revenge. Anybody want to get in on that? We've had some people in the Discord roster Thad Young the last couple of slates with this front court being so depleted. Right? We mentioned Kem Birch, Siakam, Achiuwa down as well. It's Coloco, that's Boucher, that's Thad Young. And Thad Young is a guy that we saw against Houston, 27 minutes. If that type of minute opportunity is there in a remember me spot, sure, I wouldn't fault you for putting him in the back end of a player pool at 150. So waiting on that VanVleet news on the Pacer side. Tyrese Halliburton, I love playing this man. And then Miles Turner, 6,300 on DraftKings, still way too cheap. I did some notes on Miles Turner earlier for a NHA video, and one of the stats I pulled was that this season Miles Turner has a per 36 of 22.3 points per game, or excuse me, 22.3 points per 36, which is easily on pace to be his best ever. And if you check the logs, right, check the games, it's in the pudding, right? The pushback for him, or the downside for him, has been injuries or foul trouble. 5 fouls against Denver Jokic, right? And then outside of that, when he is involved for 30-plus minutes, you're getting double-digit shot attempts, and he's a hustle stat getter, right? Double-digit rebounds, the blocks are there, and because he's such a high block guy, we get a lot of fouls. I think against a depleted Raptors front court, I'm willing to lean a little bit less on the foul side and more on 6,300 is too cheap. So I'm in on him. 30-plus fantasy points is the projection right now. The FanDuel price point is still fine, but I really love the DraftKings price point. I'll see a lot of handcuffs between him and Halliburton, and then Buddy Hield on DraftKings as well. Probably somebody with enough wiggle room at that price point to kind of pay off. Benedict Mathurin off the bench here. He's been a bucket for the Pacers this season, getting a solid projection from him as well, 30-plus fantasy points. So already off the rip, I'm seeing at least 4 Pacers that are going to be mainstays in the pool tonight. And then as we dig a little bit deeper for spin the wheel, make a deal type plays, some secondary, tertiary plays certainly could rise up, like a Jalen Smith, somebody like that. But Halliburton, Buddy Hield, Miles Turner, and a little bit of Mathurin would be the forefront four, and the Raptors, whoever's in the starting lineup, will be in there for me. And then Boucher, I think, is very viable on both sides. So this is gonna be easily my most exposed game on the slate, and hopefully it pays off and I don't get in trouble, right? What up, Solo? Hope you're doing all right. LaMelo Ball expected to warm up with intention to play. Let's go. So on No House Advantage, they had LaMelo Ball's PRA at like 37.5, and last year's game average was 35. So I was on the under, not expecting him to have an above average game from last year on night one and be a little bit limited. But that might be enough to just stifle everything on the Hornets. But we'll see. We'll see if they have any indication on what kind of minutes that he might contribute, you know. Raps are in for a whooping tonight. Might not get fourth quarter run. You think so, Sen? I don't know, man. The Pacers defense is so gosh dang bad that it's hard for me to have that much confidence in them putting teams away. But their offense is really good, so maybe could be a letdown spot. But I think it's really contingent on Van Vliet. 10th. So this is what, a third and 4 nights. Every other. Certainly a fatigue game, if nothing else. And last night didn't look great. So I guess I wouldn't be stunned here. What is Scotty Barnes? What kind of props are you working with on Scotty? We don't have any Raptors props, huh? Yeah. Maybe. Slight dogs, though. I'm going to lean towards the game being competitive. Bold call of the day. Miles Turner triple-double with blocks. There you go. There you go. I'll tell you what, Raptors are allowing an above average amount of blocks per game. And they get smaller. Let's see, Raptors are allowing top 10 amount of blocks per game. So, yeah, block potential's there for Miles Turner. I don't know about chip double, but maybe we get the old Hassan Whiteside. Let's go. Got to make a choice between Capella and Şengün for my lineup. Love centers against Pels. Feel like Capella's been balling. Capella has excelled in the right spots, and that the last time was against Utah. That was a spot that I think me and Noah we talked about that on the stream. That game, that was such an elite spot. The rebounds have been nutty with it too. 20 rebounds against Philly in 26 minutes is actually crazy. Actually crazy. But he has been balling, and it helps him that Okongwu is down. We'll talk more about that in depth in just a little bit, but that's an insane rebound rate. His offense, though, I feel like will get stagnant in the wrong spots or in the right spots. Got to be Capella, backup center. Yep, have to play Halliburton. He's a WWE fan. Well, you had me. I love playing Halliburton, and I love that he's still under 9K. He's basically, right, 9K, but, man, this guy just comes through for me. It's like an implied double-double, and then when we get totals that push 230, I just love latching onto him and knowing I'm getting fantasy points. Hawks at the 76ers. Next game on the docket. Projects 25 for the Hawks. Trae Young, DeJounte Murray, DeAndre Hunter, John Collins, and Clint Capella. Taking on Tyrese Maxey, DeAnthony Melton, Tobias Harris, PJ Tucker, and Joel Embiid. 2-2-2, and another one. 2 is our total 3-point spread. Favor of the home team, Philadelphia 76ers. Bogdanovic still out. Okongwu down. And then Harden out for the 76ers. Let's go pull up recent Hawks rotation. This is a back-to-back with a break game for the Hawks, so we can maybe mirror a lot of the strategy that both teams deployed last game in a very low-scoring 104-95 win for the Hawks. In that game, Okongwu represented 21 minutes, and if we know the plan with Capella, and then we've seen it last year too, Capella usually loses out on a lot of fourth quarter run. So with Okongwu down, it certainly could create an opportunity for a greater likelihood for Clint Capella to be on the court in the fourth quarter, but he's still a risk for the hack-a-shack. And maybe the Hawks lean on somebody else, right? Jalen Johnson could be somebody that just kind of takes those minutes And then maybe they stretch out Capella a couple more minutes, and John Collins can play some center minutes, stuff like that. So there's certainly some options here. They also have Frank Kaminsky, who has not been part of the rotation. He's a journeyman that could get some minutes. There's certainly some ranges of outcomes that Atlanta could lean on. I think it's reasonable to assume that Capella, with his production, should be somebody that sees some more minutes. But I think it's also fair to assume that the fourth quarter is a risky spot for him. So I think what I would do is I would be cautious in DFS. I wouldn't say stay away, but if I wanted to get some action on Capella without Okongwu, maybe I'm looking at Capella first half props over on PrizePicks. They got a 14.5 fantasy score or 11.5 PRA. I think the fantasy score is a little bit more encompassing. Click here. 20.5, 20.5, 38.5, 15. So essentially every game but Milwaukee, and we know Milwaukee is perennially one of the toughest matchups for bigs. I kind of like the first half line for Clint Capella. So I'll take that if I want some Capella action here. Then we look at a couple more games and rotations for the Hawks and kind of spell or get more substance to the Okongwu absence. So Okongwu represents a shift in the first quarter. It looks like every game, if he doesn't get in foul trouble, he got in quick foul trouble. One foul last first quarter. Clocks in first quarter, plays some second quarter. Milwaukee. Okongwu clocks in first quarter. So there's a shift right here. End of the first quarter, half of the second quarter that Okongwu represents that needs to be compensated for. So if you are pessimistic about Jalen Johnson or Kaminsky or guys like that filling in there, then I think it's fair to stretch out a little bit more minutes for Capella in the first half. So that, I just kind of want to lean that a little bit more to substantiate my Capella 14.5 fantasy points interest for the first half. So let's do a little bit of note keeping here. Let's go PrizePicks leans, and we'll go Clint Capella first half over. We said 14.5 FPS. You guys go with that? I'll do that. Trae Young, DeJounte Murray, 10K each. Looking for 50 plus on a normal day. Today included, especially considering that Jason Tatum's going to start emerging on this slate real soon. These guys, they basically have to outscore Jason Tatum to be the right play, in my opinion. It's going to be hard to get them and Tatum and then kind of mix it all together on a DraftKings. FanDuel's a lot easier, but I think they're both in play. I think that the implied extra 20 points here ish versus what they put up last game is fine. Tyrese Maxey had a really poor shooting night that game, but the shot volume remained there. 17, 18 shot attempts the last two games, and both those games 195 points, right? So he starts landing a couple more. Games start staying a little bit more competitive. We might see those the 20 plus real points comes back, maybe even the 30 plus real points. But the path of most success against the Hawks so far has been in the paint. So Joel Embiid has to be a guy in consideration for potential raw point scorer champion of the slate. He's second to Luka Doncic in my early projections. Makes them very, very logical. If we look at that last outing for Embiid, we got 44 fantasy points in 32 minutes. Maybe left a couple minutes out there. We expect the Sixers to pick up, another 10 implied points here, and we hopefully get less than 8 turnovers here. So I would have to rank Embiid above Trae and DeJounte pre-flop. Yeah, but I think they'll all be in the mix. For me, DeAnthony Melton, 5,800 on FanDuel. Because of his dual position eligibility, that tends to fall pretty conveniently through and through. Looking for 30 plus fantasy points, filling up the stat sheet. Last game was down 25, 40, 25. So if we're all in agreement that floor could be a little bit more useful today, or at least median outcome a little bit more useful today, where not every position's got to go 8x, I think the FanDuel price point on Melton is just fine for me. And then, yeah, so give me some Embiid as a front runner, and then some Capella first half PrizePicks. Let's get caught up on chat. 8 games, says Frank. The tank season just might. Hawks need to just go ahead and trade Collins and bring something in. Yeah. Played Capella the other night versus 76ers. Won some good money that night. I mean, the efficiency of Capella in that game, unfortunately, is unsustainable, but it's a good sign for him. And Okongwu being down is a great sign. The 19 rebounds in 26 minutes is just absolutely insane. Even more so insane on the Philly side, just because of how slow of a pace that they offer. Right, Philly, I believe, the second slowest team. Yeah, second slowest team in basketball. So that much less than average quantity of possessions to pull that type of rebounds, that's just nutty. But he's one of the more elite rebounders in basketball. I tend to really key in on Capella when the points in the paint allowed matchup gets better. I love that Trey and DeJounte are there to kind of feed him, because Capella's not the type to make his own shot. I think 6,600, still plenty of wiggle room here. Looking for 30 plus, so I'm certainly there on Capella. I may be lower than the field on Capella, just still having some pessimism about the fourth quarter. But 6K is just too cheap for the opportunity, and the projection likes him quite a bit. I think the Hawks might want to keep Capella's rotation close to Embiid's. I could see that. Melton have a Q tag. I have him. Yeah, I have him Q. So let's get a blurb. Back stiffness. All right, back stiffness. That's fun. Let's see if Doc Rivers will get us updated. Yeah, Melton's gonna be questionable. He's probably, maybe gonna play, but we'll see when we get out there. If he can't go, maybe Shake Milton. Daniel House, probably Shake Milton would be the guy that picks up those minutes, and then let the fun happen. Imagine if Capella gets average minutes like all these other centers, if he'd be the best center. There's one thing in the way, Arizona. It's the free throw percentage, man. Let's see, Clint Capella free throw percentage last season. Thoughts on Maxey? I think the AK price point, he's 47% from the free throw line last year. That's what's standing between him and minutes, by the way. You literally, anytime Capella is in the paint to dunk, it's literally more fruitful you have a better chance of him not scoring 2 points by just fouling him. Yeah. I don't mind Maxey. I just think the price is right, and the bust potential is common enough at this price point that it's not a tier 1 or 2. It would be a tier 3 at best for me right now. But the shot volume should be there, and the minutes should absolutely be there. So if we got this game staying competitive, I wouldn't fault you for being there. It's tier 3 for me, meaning I'll probably be under 30%, probably closer to like under 20%, right? Hornets at the Miami Heat. Project starting 5 for the Hornets. LaMelo Ball, Terry Rozier, Kelly Oubre, PJ Washington, Mason Plumlee taking on Kyle Lowry, Tyler Hero, Caleb Martin, Jimmy Butler, and Bam Adebayo. 213.5 total, 9-point spread in favor of the home team Miami Heat. LaMelo Ball looking like he's going to make his debut, which no matter what the minute projection is, you kind of feel like it does enough to just kind of stifle everyone in terms of their points per dollar, and their net return on fantasy points tonight, right? Terry Rozier, most importantly, AK 8,600 on DK. Certainly, we've seen games last year where he spiked with LaMelo, but Rozier, for a bulk of the season, was 6-7K player. Now he's kind of obtained this new price point because of games stretches without LaMelo Ball and Dennis Smith Jr. being hurt. So if we start seeing this team more and more healthy, I do think the more median outcome is a unremarkable 35 to 45 fantasy points, right? The 45 would be acceptable, I think, on tonight, but it's certainly a situation where we have to just look at the landscape of minutes and kind of wonder what the rotation will look like. LaMelo Ball, 8,500 on FanDuel. He won't be 8,500 for long, but this is kind of a situation where I ran into last night with Alec Burks. you just don't truly know what kind of minutes to expect in a season debut, when we're a month and a half in on, where a player's conditioning is and where a coaching staff wants them, especially chemistry-wise. So more than likely I'll be out on LaMelo, on DK, probably out on FanDuel as well. But unless we get, but if we get some coach quote saying that he's no restrictions if he plays, then I'd probably have to honor that $8,500 price point and get into some. But from where I'm standing now, I'm not expecting that. I'm expecting minutes monitored because of the situation. On the Heat side, Tyler Hero's a notable questionable. He has missed a couple games. Ankle injury. He missed the last 2 games. And in those 2 games, we saw Jimmy Butler pick up a lot of the slack. And Hero's one of those guys that, if you look at the team averages, he averages the second most real points per game. So not a insignificant absence if he can't go. This is another one of those back-to-back, but not back-to-back games where we can kind of replicate some of the approach that Miami threw out. Jimmy Butler almost triple-double, 2 assists shy from it, 35 real points in that game. I expect him to have to pick up more scoring if Hero can't go. Yo, Jirai, I appreciate that sub, man. Welcome to the channel. So let's go pull up Miami and get an on-off court situation if Tyler Hero can't go. And I'll probably move it to this season. Yeah, we'll do it this season. Would imagine interest in Bam Adebayo spikes up as well. Butler has a 28% usage rate. Bing bong.
Fantasy NASCAR podcast super chatted $20. Appreciate ya.
Wow, I appreciate that dono, man. That's awesome. You have a NASCAR podcast? I'm going to check that out. Matter of fact, show love to those that show love. How do I copy? But I appreciate that dono, man. That's crazy. Look for your channel. We'll get you a big sub. If Hero can't go, Jimmy Butler's been almost 1.5 fantasy points per minute, which is insane. Insane. Is this you? Fantasy NASCAR podcast? Bam, hit him with that young sub. Chat. Go sub. So keep an eye on the Hero news. If Hero does go, then it does change stuff a little bit. I would assume he'd be ready to go, right? I would imagine they don't get overzealous with the ankle injury. So I got him at 30 minutes right now. If he can't go, you'll see like Max Strus, Gabe Vincent, guys like that get an opportunity for longer minutes. They always project well. I think what I've come to settle on with the Strus, Caleb Martin, and Gabe Vincent thing is I got to put them all in a group on Cruncher and just kind of limit it. Meaning I don't want 3 of them to fall in the same lineup because that happens a lot. And maybe I'll limit it to 2. But I would absolutely love Jimmy Butler as a dark horse to lead the slate in fantasy points. Right? He's not going to project as such, but he could. And I would assume that the projection goes from 40. I got him at like 44 right now. Probably get up to like 50 plus. Let me look at that last game. Jimmy was Jimmy minutes, and it was in regulation too, right? Yeah, it was in regulation. So you love an opportunity at 42 minutes of 30% usage, right? So I kind of do hope Hero does sit. And then, of course, we saw big minutes out of Lowry and Bam Adebayo as well. The front court has Dedmon questionable. Adebayo against the Hornets. Hornets have just been an insane spot for opposing centers this season. So don't sleep on Adebayo's opportunity to be as one of the best scorers on the slate. 62 fantasy points per game allowed by Charlotte Hornets front court. Just insane. And another thing that LaMelo did last year, he was great at keeping the pace up. So you might start seeing the Hornets pace rating ascend if that makes sense. What did Adebayo offer up last game? I think no matter the hero situation, Adebayo is going to be a point of interest for me. 40 plus. Yeah, I'm in on that. 14 rebounds. Double-double. Yeah. Stacking the heat. Need the hero news. I appreciate you shaving the beard. Man, I miss it. I don't like when I'm baby shaving. All right, we got, 9? I'm going to try to get you out of here. 9 minutes. Rockets at the Pelicans. Project starting 5 for the Rockets. Kevin Porter Jr., Jalen Green, Eric Gordon, Jabari Smith, Alperen Sengun taking on C.J. McCollum, Brandon Ingram, Herb Jones, Zion Williamson, Jonas Valanciunas. So we got a 233 total, an 11-point spread in favor of the home team Pelicans. And that's the biggest spread on the slate, but it's still unattackable 230 total. So I'm interested. We've mentioned Sengun a few times tonight. I got him at a 28-minute projection. We've seen him finally, get the opportunity to start with Fernando down and then, not using Garuba here. 30, 29, 20, 33, always more than a fantasy point per minute. And so far this season, the Pelicans, they've allowed 6.1 blocks per game and 51.3 points in the paint allowed. So while the DVP isn't necessarily screaming to attack them, if you want to accentuate the strengths here of a guy like Sengun, matter of fact, look at his averages. 17.1 points per game. That would be third best on the starting lineup and over a block per game. I'm interested, very much so. And then the points in the paint allowed for New Orleans, that's bottom 10 in basketball. So it's an above average spot despite the DVP not quite being in his favor. So I'm in on Sengun. I think the price is efficient, so it's not like a lock of a century or anything like that. But I'm there. KPJ, Jalen Green, I'd just go with the projection here. Fine returns on investment. KBJ, I'm looking for 40 plus. I need it. Jalen Green, I'm looking for mid-30s. I need it. On the Pelican side, I've kind of approached the Pelicans the same way all year. You guys know, with the big three in, I just kind of put them in the same group on Cruncher and try to prevent some overlap and correlate it better. I usually lead it with Ingram, then Zion, then McCollum, and I can't imagine that would change tonight. Reason being, we go pull up the season Wowie for the three. And I believe Ingram leads the team in usage. Zion leads the team in points per minute. And then McCollum is just there. So that's why we have the hierarchy like that. Zion usually doesn't play as many minutes as Ingram, so I usually like to offset it there. And let's go McCollum. Eason too cute from this game? Probably, unless we got like an Eric Gordon out or something like that. You know what I mean? I have him at 17. I wouldn't really have a conviction to be there unless, you got that feeling in your bad knee. Go for it. But I don't really see why it would be something that's crazy. You know what I mean? 27.5% usage rate on Ingram. So Zion actually jumped him there at 29%. Last time I had it, it was a little bit higher the other way. But points per minute, Zion leads the charge here. Ingram there. So I guess it would come down to minute projection. And right now I have Ingram higher minutes than Zion, so it kind of neutralizes, but they're about the same price. So essentially what I'm saying is I'm not going to have a lineup likely with 3 Pelicans. It would probably be 2 of 3, and then maybe 1 of 3 in like 20 or less, and just kind of lean into it. The matchup is pure for everyone, so I can't even say this guy's matchup is better than that guy's. Just a great spot all the way around. So I'm going to kind of scum Dacker that. Larry Nance looks like he's in the fold here. That makes the minutes in the front court a little bit more volatile for a guy like J-Val. So I think Ingram's the most intriguing for me. Good defense spot. Herb Jones might be a sleeper. Herb Jones this season, 1.3 steals per game, 0.6 blocks per game. If we look at the Rockets, they've picked up where they were last year in steals per game allowed, which is first, 9.2 steals per game allowed, and then blocks per game, they're at 7.2. So they lead the league in cumulative defensive peripherals, and that's kind of Herb Jones's thing. So maybe a sleeper if we're trying to be a little bit different with our forward spot tonight. No warm and fuzzies at all, but Rockets are the Rockets. We saw a 30 bomb in there, 39 against Atlanta, and his big games usually do correlate with 3+ steals. So maybe put that in your back pocket if you're trying to get cute in tournaments at under 5K. All right, one game left on the docket. Take a pause for the cause. Next couple hours, I'll be in the RunDFS.com VIP Discord. If you guys want to be part of that, come hang out. It's only a couple of us chilling, making our player pools. I think they're sweating college football, MMA, stuff like that. I'll be in there chilling, making lineups, shooting a breeze. If you guys want access to the spreadsheet that I have been using throughout the duration of the stream, it is over there. And then also, we have NFL tomorrow. Tomorrow there will be NFL coverage. There won't be NBA coverage. I actually have a wrestling match tomorrow night. So wish me luck. Stay tuned to Twitter. I'll tell you what happens. Challenging for the tag team championships. That'll be fun. And then, so if you want in on that, go to rundfs.com, click VIP memberships, find a pass that's right for you. Every single pass comes with a voucher towards Fantasy Cruncher, and that year pass for next year still up there, $150 towards a membership or subscription of your choice over at Fantasy Cruncher. And they stack. Main event tonight, Blazers at the Mavericks. Project starting 5 for the Blazers. Dame Dalla, Anthony Simons, Josh Hart, Jeremy Grant, Yusuf Nurkic taking on Luka Doncic, Spencer Dinwiddie, Reggie Bullock, Dorian Finney-Smith, Dwight Powell, 217.5 total, 5-point spread. Favor the home team, Dallas Mavericks. Lots of news on the Blazers side, so I'm going to try and get caught up here. But unfortunately, I feel like the best case scenario is we don't know what we don't know. Keon Johnson, Shaedon Sharpe, backup guards, questionable. Keon Johnson's dealing with a left hip pointer. Shaedon Sharpe's dealing with a right finger sprain. We do have probable tags on Justice Winslow and Jeremy Grant now. We still have a Yusuf Nurkic questionable tag. He has missed the last 2 games. If he can't go, you would probably expect Drew Eubanks to continue to start again. So lots to keep tabs on, but I guess at first it was a little bit more menacing than I thought it would be. So we can take Winslow and Grant off the queue here, and we can go, we're here. So Nurkic is the big one. And if Nurkic can't go, Drew Eubanks is 3,500 on FanDuel, 4,100 on DK. But that would probably make me way more interested in a guy like Jeremy Grant. We have a little bit of sample size of both. So against the Dallas Mavericks, ultimately, though, we are dealing with an extremely slow-paced game, so it's not going to be a lot of wide eyes and drooling happening, right? Portland running the 3rd slowest pace in basketball, Dallas running the slowest pace in basketball. So not a lot of implied possessions. Total might even, I might even lead the under on this total, and the Dallas Mavericks being 5-point favorites kind of just leaves it open for interpretation. Christian Wood should play tonight. So their front court, Dwight Powell, Christian Wood, Javal McGee, Maxi Kleber. I don't really have a lot of warm and fuzzies there. It basically is Luka Doncic, and then maybe Dinwiddie can stay hot, but that's a player that I really don't want to get too married to or too attached to. But 52, 49, 37, 42 fantasy points in 4 of his last 5 games. Good spots through and through, and the minutes have been massive, 38, 38, 38. So I guess there's enough there to not push back. The shot volume and the shot efficiency is crazy. 7 for 8 from the free throw line against Orlando. Wild. I don't know. You guys buying into Spencer Dinwiddie? I'm getting an okay projection that I'm going to get some exposure to him, but that's a pretty nutty streak that he's on. Give me some Dame on FanDuel, 8,500. Not a ton. Josh Hart. Both sides looking for mid-30s. I like Josh Hart more if Nurkic is down. We've seen his rebounding be really, really good. 8.7 rebounds per game. That might be a rebound lean if we do lose Nurkic again. They have him at... I'm still on first half. I have been getting him at 6.5 or 7.5. They have him at 7.5 again. I think because of the pace, I'll probably stay away from that. But Nurkic being down would increase interest all the way through and through elsewhere. But this is the least sexy game of the night, easily, right? Can we catch this match on YouTube? It won't be live tomorrow, but maybe it'll be eventually. Isaiah Jackson for Indiana. So when Miles Turner's healthy and the Pacers are this, Jalen Smith, Miles Turner, Isaiah Jackson, Oshae Brissett, Goga Bitadze, that's a carousel of what's going to happen. I lean towards the most likely being Miles Turner being the guy that we want. Jalen Smith's the guy that we've seen get in foul trouble. Him and Isaiah Jackson kind of similar in their per minute production and their weaknesses as well when it comes to foul trouble. So I think if you're managing a large portfolio of lineups, I think Isaiah Jackson, sure, but in like 20 or less, I don't really have a reason to be there because I don't think he's going to catch any ownership unless this lineup comes out a little bit different. But I think a per minute play, like as a per minute play, he's fine to have on your radar and be in dual position eligible. But I just can't really get to a deep minute projection as long as Miles Turner's healthy and everyone else is, right? But per minute, he's really, really good. Chat, man, I went over. I don't like to be on past the top of the hour, opposite of Stochastic. So, gonna get you guys out of here. Go check out the deeper dive. A lot of cool stuff over there. I'll be back on this channel. Fudge. I don't know. I have to retool the content schedule because I've been getting a lot of like afternoon streams for No House Advantage that kind of impedes or contradicts the typical schedule here. But we'll try and get some content up for Monday. Tomorrow's the day off for content, though. What up, Arizona? Won good money in college, Purdue, and winning Ole Miss. Looking forward to a good night in NBA. Let's go. What's your wrestling name? What's my finishing move? Come on, Mello. Relax. Nah, but what? Hey, look out for me on Twitter tomorrow night. I'll share some pictures or something, man. Hey, man, I appreciate you guys spending part of my day with part of your day. Tell somebody you love them. It's a small world. I love you. Good luck. God bless. Go win some money. We'll see you guys Monday.